Research paper highlights serious concerns in education. EMTV and other frontline workers get vaccinated. And Wapenamanda Airport reopened.
This is National EMTV News with Dennis Orere.
Hello and welcome. This is Tuesday's news. Last month, the National Research Institute released a discussion paper highlighting serious concerns in Papua New Guinea's education reform process over the last 30 years. Researcher Jeremy Goro pointed out that education reforms needed time to be assessed and adjusted, a process that ideally should take at least 2 to 3 decades. He has also highlighted the obvious that existing problems like limited funding and lack of awareness will add to the damage caused to future generations.
The National Research Institute's paper has delved into the existing problems within the education sector, as it highlights what could happen if policymakers and legislators don't tread carefully with the introduction of new reforms. The author of the report, Jeremy Goro, is a research fellow at the NRI, and he says the results of the previous reforms haven't been adequately assessed before new changes were implemented, and the impacts could be disastrous in the long term.
Now, we have seen these reforms within a period of 30 years. Now, for education to have a mature system and structure, it has to take more than that. So we have not evaluated those reforms, the systems that we have, and we continue to want to change. And that is creating a problem for our education system in the country.
The NRI has studied PNG's education reform implementation for over 2 decades, and the same backstory keeps being highlighted. As new reforms are implemented, they're not backed by the funding or political support to make sure the results happen. But then again, the results can't be seen during the 5-year shelf life of any government, and political short-sightedness and the desire for expediency takes precedence over education quality.
TFF money or policy comes in, this gives us a lot of problems. We run into a lot of problems.
Between 2017 and 2019, EMTV surveyed 20 urban schools. All of them had problems associated with accessing tuition fee-free education funds and school materials. Similar concerns have been highlighted by the NRI.
So those were the gaps that need to be really analyzed, the internal problems and the external problems. Or is it to do with the communities or the politicians in the community? So these are real problems that once we find out these gaps, we can then now have our strategies to mitigate those problems so that we can come up with a better working system. But those have not been analyzed properly, and the gaps become even more bigger and bigger as we continue to move on with the reforms.
The biggest gap that exists is the consultation between the policymakers, the implementers, and the users of the system, who most times don't really understand how the system works until they see the negative results years later. Scott Waide, National EMTV News.
Civil Aviation Minister Seki Agisa officially reopened Wapenamanda Airport yesterday. The Wapenamanda Airport upgrade is part of the Civil Aviation Development Investment Program. It is counter-funded by the PNG government and Asian Development Bank. This project is funded at a total cost of 46.6 million kina.
The arrival of the first chartered flight from Port Moresby to Wapenamanda Airport yesterday marked the resumption of flights. It was closed for nearly 2 years as the runway and facilities were upgraded. Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipatas and Civil Aviation Minister Seki Agisa opened the project.
Aviation industry plays a major role and will continue to connect rest of the country's rural and urban population through our 22 national airports. And this is my desire, effort to see free movements of people using our 22 airports.
Works that have already been completed are the strengthening of the runway, taxiway and apron pavements to accommodate for planes such as Dash 8 aircrafts, ATR planes and such. Wapenamanda as a new cargo facility, NAC tractor and maintenance shed, NAC safety officers resident and airside drainage improvement. The new terminal building, a car park and standby power and water supply are still being worked on. Work is expected to be completed by April 2022. Governor Sir Peter Ipata said the travelling public in Enga province need to use their own airport to feel safe when travelling.
Yeah, build confidence in your own province. All Sumatin, all lecturers, all Manblo looks available this institution. Inona blomoli fly kam la agena. Feel him safe lo drive ikam inside lo henga. So it's important lo keep him airstrip open. So all this line can come. Suppose you mean like stop on top of every other province in this country.
Despite the COVID-19 impacts and challenges in PNG's economy, NAC will still deliver all the ongoing airport infrastructure development projects under CAPID by mid-2022. Meanwhile, local MPs in Enga province are urging their people to take good care of such development for their own benefits.
Development all combines, all Ibalogins, all Reales, okay, Kumbasakam. You mean must sit down good now. Look out him, this is a public asset. Because work in a stop now. Work by go yet.
Together with the civil aviation minister. Mi ama mastru na mi amul tro lugan governor blomi. Time to black cut him ribbon today. So Enga people can come direct home.
ADB and the PNG government jointly funded the 10-year airport upgrade program or CAPID at 1.67 billion kina in 2009. It was purposely to redevelop and revitalize the aviation infrastructure and to ensure that all the airports meet the safety and security compliance must have the operational certification under the International Civil Aviation Organizational Standards and Recommendation Practices and complies with the civil aviation rules. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
The process to amend mining laws is gradually progressing. Secretary for Mining Harry Corre says once all mining laws are amended, the industry is expected to double its production. A major policy change is the Mining Act, which is now before the National Executive Council for deliberation.
Alongside the upstream energy sector, mining has long served as the backbone of Papua New Guinea's economy. In 2019, the mining and quarrying sector accounted for 10.3% of GDP and was a major source of foreign exchange earnings. However, a number of factors have affected the mining industry. The future of some mining projects in the pipeline remain uncertain given protracted negotiations between the government and mining companies. Looking further, the government appears keen to rebalance the sector towards greater public ownership of mines, although it is expected that the capital and expertise of private investors drawn to transparent regulations.
We've also drafted the mining policy, the offshore mining policy, the sustainable mining development policy, the mining involuntary resettlement policy, and the mining project rehabilitation and closure policy. So 6 policies to look after our industry. But those policies are were made contingent on the passing of the Mining Act.
The Mining Act 1992 is the key piece of legislation that governs all mining activities in Papua New Guinea. However, a series of proposed amendments to this law, which are currently being discussed by policymakers, could see fundamental changes to the regulation of the sector.
Basically, what we've done in the amendment, there's a provision that requires all data that is all data of all minerals that is extracted and at the point of sale to be remitted to MRA in real time. So live data. What you see on your machine, your computers out there, MRA also sees the same thing. So in that way, we know how much mineral has been taken out of our country and what has been sold.
Mining in PNG is closely tied to the demand from China as the world's second largest economy, consuming half of the world's nickel and copper. Therefore, if China's imports of key commodities fall in response to its trade war with the US, it will adversely impact mining in PNG. The political environment may also affect sector investment, but the government has signaled a more cautious approach and intends to acquire greater financial benefits for the government, people and investors.
Let's somewhere, somehow, change the fashion and the manner how we conduct businesses. You know? Life should not be the same as today. Yesterday is yesterday, it's gone. Today is today. Going forward, we have to do one or two things dissimilar to what we have done yesterday. And that is what I'm echoing.
Jack Lapower Jr., National EMTV News.
New Guinea's pioneer licensed aircraft maintenance engineer Moses Sogoromo retired after 41 years of service to the company. Mr. Sogoromo was one of the first cadet engineers that Air Niugini recruited in 1979. Reporter Gertrude Gabi with this story.
Moses Sogoromo, 60 years of age, from East Sepik Province, retired on the 30th of April 2021, 41 years after his recruitment as one of the first cadet engineers of Air Niugini in 1979. Mr. Sogoromo says he has come a long way with Air Niugini and was part of the changes that the company went through. He says the journey was not easy, but it was a satisfactory one, and felt it was time to retire and allow the new ones to rise up to the challenges.
That those of us who came out from Port Moresby Technical Aircraft School broke that barrier where, yes, nationals are capable, we can fix aeroplane too. So it gave up that room, and our young cats coming out from schools could see that, and they started applying for taking up apprenticeship with engineering.
Sogoromo graduated from Aurora National High School to the School of Engineering at POM Tech, a pre-employed technical training course, a first of its kind at that time, and later on made it to the national airline Air Niugini. He received different licenses over the years. His first rating was on the Dash 7 airframe, the second Fokker 28, an Airbus A310 course in Singapore, and many others. He also performed flying Spanish duty over the years, following the plane to overseas airports. He's been a maintenance foreman, supervising and training other cadet engineers as superintendent.
Going to Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, where we have no maintenance facility there, engineers there to do our turnaround for aeroplanes. We accompany the aeroplanes out. So I was privileged to be one of the very few nationals who could do that.
From his time with Air Niugini, he says the airline and other air service providers have contributed a lot to nation building. Being part of that is what he lived for and why he remained loyal to the company for 41 years.
Road systems, the sea systems, they're slow in bringing things quicker. And I think the airline industries, Air Niugini, or for that matter, the little industries, really serve this nation well. I think they contribute immensely.
Mr. Sogoromo hopes to see Air Niugini provide more cadet training. He understands that the COVID-19 pandemic and restrictions has posed a challenge to the company, but in time, engineering cadet training onshore should be made priority. Gertrude Gabi, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. More of the day's stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The United Labour Party has thrown its support behind its candidate Joe Tonde. ULP leader and Deputy Prime Minister Sam Basil backed Tonde for a rally in the suburb of Gerehu recently. Less than 10 days remain before voting for the Moresby Northwest seat begins.
It was all orange at the Gerehu recreational area. United Labour Party leader showed up backing the ULP selected candidate Joe Tonde. The gathering also saw a former NCD Governor Warivela and activist Noel Anjo. For ULP, endorsing Tonde went through a stringent selection.
Party leader, Mr. Nabaksatlan, we are organized, we got policies, we got experience.
Joe Tonde also contested in the 2017 election. The church business-oriented man came third in 2017. Running the ULP flag high, the party leader says electing Tonde will not be a mistake as the party will bridge him to the ruling government for further developments in the Mosby Northwest electorate.
Now, a lot of the coalition staff, me plus sharing experience, me plus sharing preference from me plus. Now, time me come inside, Joe Tonde come inside, you rest assured people of Mosby Northwest that we will make him a better member for Mosby Northwest.
Activist Noel Anjo threw his support behind the party and Tonde stating voters must screen candidates and elect those who have proven leadership qualities and those that have been supporting communities.
Every stop outside of the man, now we come up in one walkway on member where you elect him on a Sunday go to the parliament. Only no make him on slow walk.
Thanking his party leader, Joe Tonde says the electorate has seen slow delivery of services. Banking on ULP policies, Tonde believes he is the right candidate for the people. He called on voters to vote wisely.
Time you not looking, all leadership qualities from all. Now time you marking, because I'm talk too much. Some leaders only know good level talk, but only get good leadership long. Look at the community.
Jack Lopava Jr., National MTV News.
Another candidate for the Mosby Northwest seat, Lohia Boy Samuel, says helping to improve lives of people in the electorate is essential. Campaigning in Port Moresby's Garden Hills area, Mr. Samuel spoke highly of services like better homes, access to clean water and employment. For the small community at Kaiwaina block, he has helped by connecting the community to a better water supply system.
Not a large crowd, but it was a small gathering to meet potential voters for the Mosby Northwest by-election. For this community, water has been a lingering issue. Lohia Bow Samuel has made moves to assist the community. It's a significant intervention. Voters say past candidates have proclaimed empty promises.
I'm sorry, this kind of life where you start settlement now, or villages. So when I'm going to have you plus a fishing settlement here,
the Box 22 candidate spoke highly of voting wisely for change. He says people in the electorate have struggled in the past years. The Motuan candidate says that is the sole purpose to contest and to help alleviate people's livelihood.
So in our own little ways, whatever we can, we should be helping them. It's not a big thing. We Angles and I organize some pipes so we can pump the water from down here to up there, so the ladies can stop, carrying water up on the hill. It's very taxing on them as well. So.
And as voting nears, many have vowed and expressed their support behind Box 22. For a long-time resident at the Kaiwana block, plans to connect water into the community must not be disturbed. He says this is essential for the local community.
Now, what I'm saying, I'm intending candidate. I'm no staff law. I'm no member yet. So when I'm saying, I'm put him. You know can poke him or you know can cut him. When I'm saying, I'm can put him, you look out him. You look when I'm standing the road, you know good, you fix him. That's all I'm by keeping you alive all the time.
Jack Lopava Jr., National MTV News.
Communities around the Goroka district continue to face problems with access to clean water. Mary Louise Kunda, a community member in Namauka, said for years they've struggled with this issue and hopes that the district and provincial government can do something about this. More than 100 communities in the district took part in the water, sanitation and hygiene program. However, having access to clean water will be a challenge in sustaining the project.
Namauka is one of the communities just outside of Goroka town. Despite it being within the Goroka district, the community does not have access to clean water. Mary Louise Kunda, a woman with special needs, said this has been an ongoing problem and has called on the authorities to look into this.
Ol papa mama bloman blomi ol kare kontena wara na mitu mi kare kontena wara. Pikinini blomi tu still kare kontena wara na mikra lo gama no se mas give me wara please. Power light.
This community and 200 others have been part of the water, sanitation and hygiene program's Clean Pella Community Project. While the communities have grasped and are practicing better hygiene and sanitation, one of the challenges in sustaining the project is the lack of access to clean water in some of these communities.
All pikinini blom plasa kare container sa go as far as Lopi, also promapin putim lo car na also kare come down.
First thing we need water inside the community.
According to Robin Nick, an officer from the Goroka MP's office, the District Development Authority has plans to address these water problems in support of the Clean Pella Community Project.
But money is already allocated, we are ready to fund. But our community now, like Goripe Moka, I want the community where Kamani does the program. That program goes with water. So if we don't give them water, there's like project so definitely, member of Goroka, office member of Goroka, we will attend to this.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News.
TripAdvisor Australia, a website which lists hotels and reviews by guests, has placed a hotel in Papua New Guinea as among the top 10% of hotels in the world. The Sanctuary Hotel got a 5 out of 5 rating, the highest among hotels in Papua New Guinea.
The tourism and hospitality industry has taken a slight nosedive due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but it is encouraging to see that some hotels have had recognition internationally. The TripAdvisor website in Australia provides a rating for hotels, and Sanctuary Hotel has been named as a 2021 Traveller's Choice Hotel.
How we got this award was through guest reviews. So every guest that have stayed with us have reviewed us through this platform. We received this award 2 weeks ago, and considering there's over 700,000 hotels in the world, to get the top 10% within the world, it's quite a big deal to us. I think that it's not only the management, but the staff have a big role to play in this.
The TripAdvisor's website serves as a platform for travelers to see which hotels to stay when traveling abroad. TripAdvisor rates Sanctuary Hotel 5 out of 5 according to the positive reviews.
When we travel places, we'll look at TripAdvisor as well to see if there's good food there, if the staff are good, if we're going to get looked after, if it's safe. From the cleaner to the maintenance guys to the office to everyone, if they're led by good leaders like the management here, we do okay. We look after the locals here.
The customer service, including the overall outlook of the hotel, contributed to the positive reviews.
From the way we perform the customer service we provide for this country, it's from A plus and 100 plus or 1,000 plus, I will say. Yeah, and all the credits goes back to our boss, Mr. James Mann.
Most of the staff working at the hotel are not qualified in the field of tourism and hospitality, but have worked hard with the management to improve the image of the hotel.
Most of the staff here, not graduates, they don't have any qualification. They've been brought here by recommendation from the owner of the company, and he has trust in them.
COVID-19 is a challenge to the tourism and hospitality sector, but there is hope for better times ahead.
The tourism was starting to pick up before COVID. Since then, it's it's not too good to talk about the negatives, eh? We'll see what happens.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nesfund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3531 Australian dollars, $0.3804 New Zealand dollars, and 29.56 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee, cocoa, and copper closed lower, palm oil and copper closed lower, crude oil is trading lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is also trading higher. Among stories after the break, more frontline workers get COVID-19 vaccination. Stay tuned. Welcome back. 13 employees of EMTV got their COVID-19 vaccination today as frontliners under the National Vaccination Rollout program in the nation's capital. EMTV journalist Fidelis Sukina was pleased with the process, highlighting the fact that people were given an opportunity to ask questions prior to getting the vaccine. He said this gave them the opportunity to clear uncertainties surrounding the AstraZeneca vaccines.
13 staff from EMTV visited the NFS Stadium today to get the AstraZeneca jabs. The staff were from the news department as well as other departments within the company. The process involved registration at the beginning. After being registered, they moved on to the vaccination booth where they were asked a few questions before getting the vaccine. EMTV journalist Fidelis Sukina was pleased with the process, highlighting the fact that people were given an opportunity to ask questions prior to getting the vaccine.
Before we got the vaccination, we had to go through a series of questions, and when we were asked questions by the people administering the jab, so they asked us a few questions and they asked if we had questions. So it was good that they asked us about that, so we had a chance to ask some of the things that we weren't sure about the vaccine. So that's something good about the process in this vaccination. They allow you a chance to ask.
Fidelis' decision to get vaccinated like everyone else was voluntary. Part of the reason for his decision was because his job as a journalist fell into the category of a frontliner.
For my case, working as a journalist, I feel that going out and doing my job is meeting other people, a lot of people around, so I need to get vaccination. It's something that I thought about it long and hard, but I decided to do that just because it's part of my work that I routinely have contact with people, most people I don't know, and some people that I meet in crowded places during events.
The National Vaccination Rollout program was launched in the nation's capital in March this year. The NFS COVID-19 vaccination program is delivered by the ISOS under the arrangement with the Australian government. On a daily basis, at least 250 to 300 people turn up to be vaccinated at this center.
We started off slowly, at a slower pace, let's say 100 plus. When the program first started around 2 months ago, and then as time went by, it slowly increased. But then from time to time, we have, depending on how many people attending at that particular time, but otherwise, roughly, say in a day, we're looking at around 200 plus individuals coming in for the vaccinations.
The Ritafling vaccination program, on the other hand, is run by NCDC PHA. Since last Saturday, 8,000 vaccines were used. This would mean that the first lot of vaccines donated under the arrangement would have been administered. While vaccinations are not compulsory, people with underlying illnesses are encouraged to get the vaccine.
But what I would just encourage the others is that the vaccine is just like any other vaccines, polio, measles, and all those others. So it's just here to help us, at least give us some immunity to fight against the COVID and whenever we come in across it. So it's up to the individuals whether they want to get it or not. It's up to us.
Meanwhile, 10,000 vaccines have been sorted this week to continue the vaccination program. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News.
Fisheries Minister Dr. Lino Tom said people are the most important resource the country has. He said more needs to be done on investing in human resource to bring the country forward. This was the minister's speech last week during the opening of a double classroom at Tanam Adventist Primary School funded by the National Fisheries Authority.
The Minister for National Fisheries Authority and Marine Resource, Dr. Lino Tom, and his team from Port Moresby visited Morbe last week to officiate the opening of few projects funded by NFA. One of these projects is this double 4-in-1 classroom that was funded last year at a cost of 300,000 kina and was completed this year to accommodate the grade 8 students.
The most important resource this country has is our people. Our people. And right before us, we have the most important resource this country will ever have, and that's its people. If we invest in the development of human resource, our country will be in a better place. Now that brings us to another part of this, and that is the quality of education that we give to our students. You know, our pastors, in terms of the jobs we do, I think the most sacred job God has given to humanity is to look after its people, and I think our pastors, they do the most important job. And I think next to the pastors, I would be a bit biased, are the health workers and the teachers. Because we look after our people, and they are the most important resource this country will ever have.
Tanam Adventist Elementary and Primary School is located in the Wampar LLG of UN Gulf District, Morobe. It has a population of over 700 students and 20 teachers. Tanam School was established in 2010 as an elementary school. It then got its primary status in 2013. According to the school's head teacher, Rickson Kambang, most of the infrastructure development has been done by the school through the School Learning Improvement Plan program.
The school has started with bush material, and we gradually changing the place. And one of the things that we always like to do is we start with whatever we have. Whatever little money that we have, we start working on it pace at a time. So a good example is our staff house, which is at the back. We started it last year, and we are slowly building it over the years, and hopefully by next year we are planning to complete.
Quality of education, there's a lot of aspects to it. One of that is the number of students to teacher ratio. The other one is the number of students in a class in terms of the space. And there are other things like the quality of materials we give to our students and the quality of teachers we have. Now, we can't address all of them at the same go, but NFA, as part of its corporate social responsibility, would want to do our part in providing infrastructure to help our school expand and getting students in the right number so that they can sit with good space apart so they can learn comfortably.
Mr. Kambang said the only challenge they face is landowners' issue.
We are having, so many landowners around here. That's a real challenge. In fact, when we want to put up the classroom, we have to argue, even we physically have to fight with these landowners to put this building that we are seeing. We also have financial constraint that we face with the STF that has been cut. That is really a big setback to us. But I always continue to commend my parents, who are always supportive to pay their school fees, and that is what that has been driving us through.
Julie Badui, Owa, National EMTV News.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. BSP School Cricket Program, a partnership platform of Cricket PNG and Bank South Pacific, has been nominated amongst two others for the Stan Joyce Award at the SP Sports Awards for this year. The program has reached over 1.5 million children and provided employment for 60 Cricket PNG staff since its inception in 2012. Kiplin Doriga from the PNG national men's team, the Baramandis, a wicket-keeper, is a product of the program. Doriga applauds the program as it gave him a pathway to national representation. That story wraps up Trukai Sports. The weather report after these messages.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Moniplus, with you always.
Regional weather forecast for tonight in the southern region: Port Moresby and Daru, partly sunny, fine and windy. Kerema and Alotau, brief showers and partly cloudy. Popondetta, cloudy with a few showers.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the news, sport and weather for Tuesday, the 25th of May 2021. Pleasant viewing, be safe, bye for now.